Hello, welcome to Frank's School. It seems like quite a long time since I've been back in my little classroom here. This is the 5th year, 111th day. First video. I think there'll be two today because I can't quite finish this. I've been filming things outside, but I want to revisit my imaginary movie and tell you about the sequel to it. I had said at one point that a sequel could be made. Anyway, Mmon's Metamorphosis is the name I would call it. Mmon's Metamorphosis. I say it's a sequel to the movie Resurrection, which I've described in detail. I don't know, I'm actually not too sure about the tone of it. Maybe it would coincide with a spoof. I don't know. But anyway, I just want to talk about the main character because I think I need to. The time is here. I need to say about this main character. Mmon. Mmon is the main character. He was born rich, and his name when he was born, his name was Rudolf Harumpf. That name, though, his parents changed it eventually to Rudolf H. Rump. And I'll explain why in a minute. In the movie Resurrection, I gave each character an instrument and a timbre, and I thought about his timbre maybe should something be loud, and I thought maybe a trumpet, that would be good. Trumpet, that would sort of be suitable to him. But then I thought more, and I thought no, a pipe organ. A trumpet wouldn't be loud enough. A pipe organ, because a pipe organ could have those little tiny pipes, and this kind of make yourself small with these little pipes, and then the 16-foot or 32-foot pipes with the big sound. He would be satisfied with that. All right, why they changed his name? Well, he couldn't say his own name without coughing and gagging. It was a pretty hard name to say anyway. Harumph. Not hard for you or me, and there was a medical reason for it. Eventually, his parents. This is all background. I don't know if this would show up in the movie, but I'm telling you about it. His family took him to their family doctor, Dr. G.B. Herring, and he referred him to an adenoid specialist. It was clear that he had adenoids and was going to need an operation. Well, that specialist was Dr. Charles C. Hinkle. He did the operation and fixed him. But Rudolph was plagued, though, in school, private school, I imagine, because he's very rich. They called him Red Nose, Red Nose, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He was, they teased him because of that name, Rudolph. And then after his name was changed, they'd call him Rude Rump. He had these names pegged on him. How children can be so cruel and they love a nickname and peg nicknames on something. That wasn't so bad, but eventually they picked up on the Dolph part of Rudolph and gave another nickname, which I won't say in this context, but that one, at first, he didn't mind it that much. That didn't seem so bad because Rudolph was not, I guess I should call him Mmon. I'm tempted to say he was not very smart. Well, I don't know about that, but he was slow. He was slow in his thinking, and he certainly wasn't much of an academician. He didn't do well in school, except that he was so rich. It was one of those situations where he could pay for people who knew stuff. He didn't need to know stuff, is what he felt. Anyway, that name was quite another matter. Anyway, he was big. As he got older and older, he was clearly going to be a very big man. He was also extremely narcissistic. I don't know at what point that set in, but he was extremely narcissistic. He just, maybe because nobody else seemed to love him, he loved himself to make up for it. I mean, he suffered from this teasing. This is all about the main character in Metamorphosis, in Mmon's Metamorphosis. Anyway, at a certain point, he won a debate know if he's in a debating club. I'm just giving you stuff that someone could go with. He won a debate, and that got him thinking, wow. Now, how did he do that? Well, he had stumbled onto two literary devices. One of them was epithets, nicknames. He used them all the time. But the other more important one was repetition. He basically never said something just once. He always said it twice. Yes, he said it twice. Twice. Now, see what I just did there? I said it 3 times. He did that all the time. And it worked. It's a literary, in a way, maybe it was a marketing strategy, strategy. I think, though, what it was he actually was so slow in his thinking that by saying something twice, it gave him time that he needed to come up with what he was going to say next. He couldn't actually put sentences, one new sentence right after the other. He would say the thing twice and maybe even 3 times. I could give you other examples. But anyway, it was an effective literary device because in a way, among some people, if they hear something twice, they think, whoa, it must be true. I heard it twice. And 3 times, it must be even more true. I've mentioned that to my son-in-law, and he said, yeah, it's a marketing device, actually. But anyway, the judges in the debate were sort of slow like him. They were so slow in their thinking like him, and it was effective. As it turned out, there are many people that are in the general public that are sort of slow like that, and it works. Anyway, he began to think, I'm going to go into politics. I want a debate. And and so he practiced. He got in front of a mirror. He got a full-length mirror, and he would practice this. And he had these various things he learned. He'd point, and he loved that because he's pointing right at himself in the mirror. Later on, when he got into politics, he'd point, and you might wonder, who's he pointing to? Well, he's pointing to himself. That's why he would give that smirk, or maybe even smile when he'd do that, because in his mind, he was pointing to himself in the mirror. Remember, he was narcissistic. And thumbs up, like say, you're great. And of course, it was, in his mind, it was himself. But anyway, and another gesture that he came up with was, he found this effective. He'd go like this, sort of, to make him look small, like little me, and then real expansive. He practiced and refined this, and it worked with some people. I mean, there were people like him. Something he couldn't do much with was his smirk. He didn't seem to be comfortable showing his teeth when he smiled. You rarely saw a genuine smile. It was a smirk. But as I say, this stuff worked, and he'd purse his lips. He'd do some funny thing with his lip. Oh, I don't know. But anyway, it worked. And he got quite popular in politics. A lot of it was his money, his dad's money. He didn't lose his dad's money, but it gave him something to play with in his life, and he would have done better if he just turned it over to somebody else, but he was able to play with it. But anyway, in politics, he would get people to shout, "My man Rump, my man Rump." He even at one point asked people to raise their hand and pledge to him. Raise their hand, pledge, "My man Rump." Yeah. And at some point, I don't know if he was the one who thought of it, it would sound better, sort of more down to earth, like wearing a ball cap or something. Down to earth, say, "Mmon, Mmon, Mmon Rump," and oh, he would glow. He'd hear that, "Mmon, Mmon, Mmon," and so he was quite a success for a while in politics. Now, that is just background about him. The smartest thing he ever did, probably in his life, was to realize the great danger to his whole way of thinking, his fortune, everything, was what what was coming in this movie Resurrection, because this was something that he simply could not understand, because it didn't have to do with money. What else was there? Well, I want to tell you about his metamorphosis, but I think I'll do that in a second video. Give me a chance to erase the board. Bye for now.